This week on TORC Unleashed, the Traxxas Off-Road Championship returns to one of the cornerstones of off-road racing, Bark River International Raceway. Can the fastest off-road machines on the planet tame the wild beast of Bark River with a checkered flag? We'll see. Then we check in with Team Amsoil as they give us an inside look at the most high-tech 4x4 off-road truck that's ever been built. And later, if you're looking for more horsepower, then you've come to the right guy. Engine builder Bill Schleeper shows us what it takes to make these 900 horsepower engines roar. And finally, as the green flag flies, the off-road warriors invade the track of Bark River for 2 days of intense racing. All this and more, next on TORC Unleashed.
Hey there, race fans. I'm Kelly Snyder, and welcome to another episode of TORC Unleashed. This week, we're back at one of the cornerstones of the Traxxas Off-Road Championship Race Series at Bark River International Raceway, located in the UP of Michigan. Now, this is not only a fan favorite for off-road racing, but this is also a track that the drivers hold near and dear to their heart every time they battle on it.
Welcome everyone to Bark River International Off-Road Raceway and the Boss Snowplow UP Off-Road 100.
We're here in Bark River, Michigan, and it's one of the most fun tracks out here. The track has a ton of elements. I mean, you have uphills, downhills, long sweepers, off-camber turns, and it tests everything. I mean, it tests your truck, your driving skills, how good you can drive. I mean, it's one of the best tracks out here.
Oh, the fans are, arguably the best. The people at Crandon, would rightfully argue against that, but they go back and forth. So up here in the Midwest, the off-road community is very strong, and we love being a part of it. Fans are outstanding.
Yeah, this track pretty much has it all. And this is kind of a combination of going through the city and then also getting out on the highway and opening it up. So it tests everything. You've got to have the speed, but you have to be dialed in as well. So it's very technical, and it is very taxing on the equipment. And I've been having a miserable weekend. We have been chasing issues with regards to, we had a spark plug wire that we didn't know had popped out. My throttle cable came unlinked, so the throttle, it wouldn't come back. Anyway, we've had quite a few issues here so far, but I think we've got it, dialed in really well for today. I think we're going to have a good result.
I've been watching this track on TV for a long time, so coming here and racing is like an honor for me. And I'm stoked to be here and racing on it, so it's a huge deal for me. It's a lot more demanding, like you gotta be paying attention full time. The speeds are higher, the dangers are higher. I mean, at any second you could turn the wheel and you're going over.
There's some spots out here in Bark River that we fly. When you put that foot down and let it eat, awesome feeling.
The jumps are big, the natural elevation that we get out here, we're flying them over 200 feet in the air and over 100 miles an hour. So it's my favorite track on the circuit.
We're feeling pretty good. The last couple days we've been really fast. We just had some technical difficulties with the fuel. Today we're going for it.
I think it's a horse apiece for the tracks. I mean, if you like small, it's all what you like. If you like the small tracks, then the big tracks are usually harder. If you like the big tracks, the small tracks are harder. And just as a driver, you got to be able to adapt and do them both.
With this track, because it's high speed, you get strung out quickly. You can't really hang back too much. You got to kind of go for it.
Next on Torque Unleashed, we dive into the world of technology and off-road racing with Team Amsoil driver Scott Douglas for a sneak peek at their 2013 4x4 truck. Can Douglas and his team seize the day and put their prototype truck on the top of the box? And later, we focus on all that is horsepower greatness with Bill Schleeper and his engine building company, Pro Power. And finally, an army of drivers invade Bark River for a slugfest that's not to be missed. That's all coming up on Torque Unleashed. Torque Unleashed is brought to you by Amsoil, Cooper Tires, and by Oakley.
Hi, I'm Kelly Snyder, and welcome to Torque Unleashed. Technology plays a huge role in the success of each and every race team. Each year, millions of dollars are spent developing these machines they take to the track. For Scott Douglas here at Team Amsoil, the 2013 season marks a new chapter in racing with a brand new, fully redesigned Pro 4 truck.
Well, I tell you, we built a brand new Amsoil BF Goodrich truck, all in-house in our shop on our flat plate, designed it. So it's kind of exciting that this is the first one that we've built them before, but they've been designed by somebody else, something like that. This one we designed, did everything from scratch, and it's been pretty exciting. Well, I tell you, my relationship with Jason, my crew chief, is phenomenal. I mean, he's almost like a son to me, but we work so well together. It's incredible, and he's been with me since 14 years old. He came in, he wanted to make some extra money, he started mowing the lawn at the shop. Well, then he started sweeping the floors. Little by little, now here we are, and he's the crew chief.
Scott and I have always talked, what we would do different building a truck, what we think is fast, and it's, Scott and I have worked together in the shop for many years. So I think, that makes sense. 119.9.
The big thing is that with his education and his love and passion of racing, he's read every Carroll Shelby book, he's read every racing book there is. He reads like one book a week on racing. No matter what kind of racing is, there's always something to learn from. And that's how he came up with a lot of this truck, is just by sitting there brainstorming old school and new school.
So when we were building this thing's sitting on a plate, okay, and this plate's got lines going this way that's got certain measurements. So I take what I print off on the computer, I take the measurements and I lay it out. So the fabrication I did on this car is actually very little. I'd take a square tube and I'd measure the height and I'd build a parallel, basically a bridge. I'd set this tube on there, tack it on, and I'd tell Chris, our fabricator, okay, connect this dot. When the car was to this point, to go from here to here, the rough layout of having where all these tubes are, maybe was like 2 Saturdays. But then to finalize all these diagonals and then to have everything final welded, and that takes quite a bit more time. I mean, we were full time on this thing, really 60, 80 hours a week for about 3 months to finish it from a rough skeleton with 2 guys full time and a couple guys part time.
So do you have a man-hour count?
I don't want to know the number. I think my wife would divorce us. I think all our wives, we'd all be divorced if we had a man-hour count on this truck. Every nut and bolt on this car is torqued and inspected after every event. And just in case we're running short on time, we put these paint lines on every bolt. We have our checklist, we have a certain guy for this section, but the paint line allows each and every one of us to walk by, and if we see a line that's off, we can tell the person who's watching this section, hey, did you see that? It's not that we don't trust each other, it's just a way of double checking our work.
There's a lot of pride in our shop on this truck, and a lot of pride deep, not just Jason and I, but deep within the field. Chris Hunt did most of the fabrication and welding, and Trevor and a bunch of our guys. And so everything, every tube that was laid in, every spot we put the battery, or we put the oil tank, or how we position the seat, everything, everybody had a say in. We got lots of guys that help us as well, on this thing that are part-timers. But the pride, like you said, it comes in, and you got to be careful with that though, because this is their baby. This is the shiny new toy or whatever. And like I told them this morning after practice, I said, I'm ready to win some races with this thing. I've done a lot of podiums and I want to win it. And if it comes balled up, I don't want to hear nothing, because bottom line is the driver's got to start stepping it up as well, and I got to start getting it to the front. And if I got to push it and we end up tearing it up, we got to look at it as a piece of equipment, not a piece of artwork.
Coming up, we ramp up the RPMs with Pro Power Racing as they give us a first-hand look at finding the most horsepower in your engine. And later, the warriors of the Traxxas Off-Road Championship take the track at Bark River for an epic battle you don't want to miss. Next on TORC Unleashed. Inside the pits of every race team, a perfect balance of technology and skill is required to get their trucks to the front of the pack. The key factors of building the fastest truck consist of tires, shocks, and the heart of the beast, the engine. And that's where Pro Power Motorsports' Bill Sleeper comes in.
I build racing engines, and I do track support. My brother John and I started the company, and what happens is you can build a product, but when you give it to somebody, they have no one to take care of it. So I kind of call it a babysitting service. So when you come to the track, you try to make sure that they're tuning your engine, and they're giving the proper fuel, proper oils, and proper maintenance, so that not only are they getting good quality rebuilds, and they're getting good performance on the track, and we can actually help and be an asset to the teams of the track, and that's what I try to do. You're talking about classes here. You have Pro Lights, you have Pro 2 and Pro 4. Everything's about traction. So the Pro Light engines actually have a lighter vehicle with a little bit of a problem with traction because of the tire. So those light vehicles right around the 3,000 pound range, they'll have a 480 horsepower motor, and they'll go probably 2-3 seconds slower than some of the Pro 2s and Pro 4s, but they have a very good experience because they're actually racing with people with similar spec engines. That class gets ratcheted up quite a big notch, or almost double the horsepower, almost 900 in a Pro 2 class. We build those engines a little softer, a little less torque, a little more drivability, to allow a Pro 2 to have traction and to have acceleration. And then you jump up to the granddaddy of them all, the Pro 4 class. All the shocks and experience of the drivers and the teams of years with the tire manufacturers and anybody they can to get horsepower to the ground, you gotta have your game on. You gotta have the most acceleration, you gotta have the most torque, the most horsepower, and then go out there and finish the race with reliability. And I think the Pro 4 class, you end up with probably 30 more horsepower, and just because of how hard you push the engine, you end up with about probably 40 more pounds of torque, and the trucks themselves are a little heavier. So because of the four-wheel drive, they have more pieces on their puzzle. A lot of the engines are put through a tremendous amount of stress due to conditions. Now, a Pro 4 engine obviously is faster truck, probably the most advanced technology you can put in because there's really no rules, no limits. So the Pro 4 engine's a little more exotic engine, a little more horsepower, a little more acceleration, a little more torque. So we use a lot of titanium parts. Titanium's actually a lighter material, stronger, and a quicker reacting, so maximum acceleration. These are definitely jump in, go as hard as you want to go, kick-ass engines. Whereas a street car, you know, you really down tune it for a lower octane fuel. We run 113 octane. Your street pump gas might be 91 or 89. A street car, they pretty much design it to have systems that shut the engine down before you have issues. These ones, they want you to finish the race regardless of what's happening. So really, there's no fail-safe reason other than a driver saying, I'm going to shut it off because they're going to go until this baby was laying on the ground dead. So I've been in it my whole life, and you just kind of fall in love with it. It's something that you can actually build something and then go to the track and help compete with it. You know, you love the team aspect of it, and I think that racing is the pinnacle of that, because when you go to a race, a lot of people don't understand it's only one person winning. There's so much effort, so much thing put on as a team, but when it's all out there on the track, there's only one person winning that race, and everybody else loses. And it's a very hard thing to swallow when you lose, but boy, what an enjoyable experience when you win.
Next on Torque Unleashed, the green flag flies as the world's fastest off-road machines descend upon Bark River International Raceway. Torque Unleashed is brought to you by Traxxas, BF Goodrich, and by Red Bull.
Hi, I'm Kelly Snyder, and welcome back to Torque Unleashed. Well, the track is set and the fans are ready. There's just one thing left to say. Gentlemen, start your engines.
Saturday, Day 1, Round 5, the Traxxas Torque Championship. After a morning of testing and practice laps, the pros roll onto the track of Bark River International Speedway for a shot at podium glory. First up, the pro lights. As the green flag flies, pro snowboarder Nick Baumgartner grabs the early lead, with Rafael Navarro trailing in second, and Doug Mittag and Keegan Kincaid trailing behind. Baumgartner and Mittag get tangled up, allowing Navarro to take the lead. Meanwhile, CJ Greaves begins to surge through the pack and quickly moves into second. Greaves starts to pressure Navarro's lead. The two go side by side. Greaves finds an opening and never looks back. At the checkered flag, CJ Greaves takes the win, followed by Keegan Kincaid in second and Brad Lovell in third. Next up, the Pro 2s. At the beginning of the race, 900 horsepower of pure muscle roar its way across the track and into the backstretch. During the first lap, driver Rob McCachran rolled his truck in the back corner and found himself sideways by the nearby creek. The race was restarted, and the two-wheel drive trucks were at it again, battling through the twists and turns of Bark River. Jeff Kincaid made quick work of Mike Jenkins and moved into first. Kincaid was on a mission, with CJ Greaves attempting to chase him down. Lap after lap, Kincaid continued to lead the pack. Then, alternator issues began to plague Kincaid, causing the race leader to pull off the track, allowing Greaves to move into the top spot. Last year's champion Bryce Menzies roared into second and immediately began challenging Greaves' lead. Meanwhile, Rob McCachran inched his way into third and put the heat on Greaves and Menzies for first. Going through the triples, Menzies attempted to make a move on Greaves and lock bumpers for a short time, just long enough for McCachran to capitalize and get by them both. At the finish line, Rob McCachran takes the win, followed by CJ Greaves in second and Bryce Menzies in third. Sunday, Day 2, Round 6. The pros return to the track for one last shot at victory. The Pro Lights. At the beginning of the race, Nick Baumgartner led the pack, with Sean Morris, Rafael Navarro, and Keegan Kincaid just behind. Back in sixth, CJ Greaves started another charge and quickly moved into third by the end of the first lap. Lap 5, Greaves moves into second and begins stalking Baumgartner for the lead. Greaves finds an opening and takes it, putting the 18-year-old driver into first. Later, Kincaid and Morris would begin battling for the second place spot. One lap to go. With time running out, Kincaid goes for another inside pass on Morris. The two would get together, with Morris getting spun around. Kincaid jumps into second. At the checkered flag, CJ Greaves takes the win, followed by Keegan Kincaid in second and Sean Morris in third. Finally, the Pro 4s step out onto the battlefield. At the beginning of the race, Adrian Cheney moves out front with a healthy lead, followed by Mike and Mark Jenkins and Scott Douglas. Mechanical issues strike both Cheney and Mike Jenkins, forcing both drivers out of the race. Douglas and Johnny Greaves battle for second. Greaves finally makes a move and passes Douglas for the second spot. Tire issues caused returning champ Ricky Johnson to pit, but then moments later, Johnson would now threaten Douglas for third. After 7 long years of racing, Mark Jenkins crosses the finish line as the winner of Bark River, followed by Johnny Greaves in second and Ricky Johnson in third.
Well, that about does it for us here at Bark River International Raceway in the UP of Michigan. I'm your host, Kelly Snyder, and we'll see you next time on TORC Unleashed.
On the next episode of TORC Unleashed, the Traxxas Off-Road Championship Series heads for the Big House, Crandon International Off-Road Raceway in Crandon, Wisconsin. Can Mark Jenkins, CJ Greaves, and Rob McCachran keep up their momentum and take home another victory at the Mecca of off-road racing? We'll find out on the next episode of TORC Unleashed.